I'll do the intro. All right, everybody. Welcome to episode 41 of Celebrating the Brand Ambassador. I am here with Sophie and Gina down in Guadalajara, two of my favorite ladies in tequila. And they currently are sharing it to their Facebook Live. So that everybody can see it. But I'm so excited to be here. Because
Elaine, it actually says this live video should start soon. So I don't know if you have to do something on or no.
No, it should be. I don't know
what. Delayed.
It could be a delay to give us like a minute, but according to mine, it's live already, so it's going somewhere. Somewhere it's live. Not sure where, but it's technology is fantastic. But according to mine, it's on. So sometimes it does have a delay in how it pops up on Facebook. So that could be it. But that's okay. We're gonna start. Somebody's watching because there's one view and one heart. So somebody's already on there. So thank you, whoever that is. And if you'd like to chat with these lovely ladies, just put something in the chat. That would make it even more fun for all of us, even though I could sit and talk to these ladies all day long. Thank you, Chris. I'm gonna have to catch later, but super stoked for this. Awesome.
Thanks, Chris, for the 2 seconds you gave us. Really appreciate it.
Yes.
3 seconds, that's perfect.
Thank you so much for all your time, but please definitely it'll be on Facebook for the next 2 weeks and then on YouTube forever. All right, ladies. So this is very exciting for me. I don't get to do an all-female show very often, so this is kind of nice. All right. So my first question I always ask is basically, what do you currently do for a living? And then kind of what are the responsibilities that go along with that? And feel free to say all the things you do, because I think it's really important for people to understand how much work goes into, you could have one title or one job or own a company and not know all the things that actually go into it. So I'm going to start with you, Sophie. So what do you do for a living?
So I am the owner and basically the producer, and we also take care of the commercialization of a brand called Calle. Nice. So this is basically everything from A to Z and loving
so all the good things and all the bad things that come with owning a brand. You take all the credit and also all the shit when things go wrong.
Thank you, Lydie. You gave the best summary on that.
Exactly, because there's a lot that goes into owning a brand, and obviously you are the brand ambassador for your own brand as well as the person who has to manage production. I know you manage a team. You were telling me yesterday who helps with the production, but being in charge of sales of your own brand and managing all the commercial side is very, very complicated.
Yeah, because sometimes you are, deep in production and having to take care of, there's a truck, an Agave truck delayed, blah, blah, blah. And at the same time, you get phone call from a distributor who needs something very urgently. So you're like, and always I explain to them, my priority will be on production. It's not because I don't love you, but first
they don't have the sell. So at the end of the day, that's you're right, probably the more important, but it's also probably the more fun part is the production, I would think.
Definitely. Less trouble with Agave than with people.
That is very, very true. That is so true. And Gina, tell us, what is your what do you currently do for a living and all your responsibilities?
So I'll start off 2 ways. Like my official title is that I'm the Director of Advocacy for a brand called El Tequileño. So it's a brand that's been around since.
Wait, I can't see. There you go. Turn it this way.
Whatever. Because it's not. It's so. Thank you.
Thank you, Sophie. Thank you.
We're using her computers. I'm not used to.
There you go. Fantastic.
So I'm the Director of Advocacy for El Tequileño, but we're a very small company. It's been around since 1959, but we just started exporting to the U.S. about 3 years ago. So it's still a very small team. So my main purpose is education for consumers, for trade. We started doing tours. So anybody that comes to the distillery, I'm in charge of the tour program. We're opening up a tasting room. So right now, preparing different things to be sold in that store, which including this hat.
Lovely hat. You rock a hat so well.
I love hats. So getting all the things for the store and then also helping with marketing. Right now, we're a really strong brand in the off-premise in Guadalajara. We're one of our brands, of Tequileño Blanco, is the third most sold bottle of Blanco in Guadalajara. but we're not enough on-premise brand. So right now I'm also helping and just building some programs for the on-premise and hiring the girls that go and do the tastings in various stores.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, definitely want to explore that later on about like what it's like to sell in Mexico. To like, is it any, well, do it now. Is there any,
Well, you know, it's much easier in a way because it's not a 3-tier system. So we can sell direct to some customers, but we've chosen not to. Like for the whole of Jalisco, we've got 2 salespeople. That's it.
Okay.
But we've always had something that's called mayoristas, which is kind of like a distributor. So we sell to them, and then they're in charge of then getting our product out. But we do have the option if we want to, if like a customer is big enough and, you know, it makes sense, then we can sell direct to them as well. So
right. I would think that sometimes a place, if they're big enough, would actually ask you for their own private label or things of that nature. Are you doing that?
Well, not currently, but we have been asked that. And then we're starting a single barrel program. So we will be doing that not only for Mexico, but for our US customers as well. So that's also I used to work for Don Julio and for Diageo for many years. And to get anything going, it took a long time. And I think that's what's the benefits of working for a small brand that doesn't have that structure. So we're very agile and, you know, there's new opportunities that can pop up. And
Absolutely.
jump on board or choose to go a different direction.
Yeah, that is the benefit. I mean, you miss the budgets, but at the same time,
that's true. Yeah, I don't have an American Express card anymore.
I miss that so much, so much. And Sophie, do you guys sell in Mexico?
We do sell very little for a short time now. We had a big request, but at the beginning, being French in Mexican land, I was like, you know, respect to all the Mexican tequileros and producers who have been here, you know, their family for ages. So the decision first was we will not sell Calle in Mexico until some bar owners and bartenders actually came to me and said, no way. It's our house for abroad, you know, in Australia, in London, and we can't have it in our own country. You have to do something.
Agreed. I understand your thought process, but at the same time, you are making it in Mexico. So it is a Mexican spirit. You know, the fact that you're French, well, that just adds more charm.
So I tell you, we're very lucky that the band of friends, you know, from Limantour, Limantour and Baltra.
That just won number 6, right? Bar in the world in 50 World's Best Bars. So
and everyone.
Felicidades.
Yeah, that's amazing. So yeah, they did organize basically for us a distribution in Mexico City, and they were like, just send us some product and we will deliver it all around.
That's fantastic.
Okay, thank you.
That's amazing. And I think it's true because I work for, you know, one of the brands I work with is one of my clients, and I work as a spokesperson for them is Capali Rum from Belize. And, you know, we actually did get critiqued because there, you know, a girl I know, Leah, she's like, I'm from Belize and you don't sell in Belize. And I find that disrespectful that you produce here. And you use our, you know, the resources and everything, but it's actually not available here. And then they made a big effort, not just because of her, they were already planning on it. So now have it distributed. But she's like, you know, we'd like to be proud of the spirits that we make and actually be able to drink them. So which is very cool. So I think it's great. Congratulations. And I'm sure it's a lot to do, you know, your relationships you have built over the years. They're like, no, we'd like your product and we're here. So that's fantastic. All right, so I'm going to go into, because I think it is very fascinating for me that you're 2 women working in the tequila industry. You're both not native-born Mexicans. I know you are, Gina. You have Mexican descent, but you were born in the United States. Sophie, you are from France, and now you're both living in Guadalajara. You're both working in the world of agave. So, Sophie, I would love for you to share, like, what's the story? How did you, you know, it's a great story of how you came to be living in Mexico and producing tequila there.
Yeah, so it's all basically my link with agave started in 1999. Actually, I was finishing my engineer studies in biochemistry. And so I was for 6 months in a research center with yeast and lactic bacteria in Mexico City. And while being there, being in Mexico, you know, in the country producing tequila, I had the curiosity of how is it made. So I took a night bus to Guadalajara and another bus to Tequila Town to know how it was produced. And there I had like it's like falling in love with this smell, with this agave smell that is like surrounding, you know, when
It takes you in. And
exactly.
It's like, pulls you in.
It's like, yeah, it's embracing, it's all around. You're like, what is that? And it was beautiful. So I never thought I would walk into this, but that smells, you know, stayed in me. And since I'm young, I'm very, like, smells are very important to me. My parents thought I had a problem because I was, you know, smelling very often my fingers like this. Because, you know, if we will shake hands, but we don't. But, you know, you have smell sticking on you.
Yeah.
So it's something I always loved. And so I did finish my.
I'm glad I put on deodorant today.
You smell amazing.
Thank you.
Exactly. You're like, I'm glad I put some little perfume and all
Yeah.
that stuff.
Shower.
You're sitting close to you, so you know.
Even if you're running, you're smelling amazing. I admire you. So, and from there, my first work was in actually a distillery producing agave spirit. I got that like serendipity that my engineer school shared me a project that was in South Africa, and they were needing someone specialized in fermentation to resolve some problems they had in production. And my engineer school thought about me, even if the distillery wanted a guy. They said, well, for us, you are the one for what you've been doing. And I got the job, so I left to South Africa. And yeah, I could take care of further fermentation and then the production of agave spirit. And then in 2001, I did travel to the US and people were asking me about tequila. And I was, well, in South Africa, it's not tequila, it's agave spirit. I did live in Mexico, and I know some Mexicans that are well, the father of a friend was involved with the tequila production, so I gave the contacts. But then they were, yeah, but we would like someone like specific, like giving us a kind of consultancy, we would call it today. Can you help us with that? So after a year and a half being in South Africa, I was the only foreign person in the city of 50,000 people, you know. Wow. So after a year and a half, I was, okay, I think
that's intimidating. That's intimidating to be the only person, foreign person in one city.
Yeah. Everything you do, everybody knows it the day after.
What did the French girl do today?
She did dance with a black guy. No, and then everybody was coming to me. You can't dance with a black person. I was, okay, I respect you, but respect me. To me, it's not. But it was 10 years after the end of apartheid. So it was. I understood, and I was respecting
so much segregation.
Exactly.
Wow.
So yeah, it was like not easy.
No.
I did read a lot of philosophy at that period, being alone, you know. But no, it was amazing. But after a year and a half, I was okay. I would love to come back to Mexico, which is a country I did love. And obviously being able to work more in the tequila industry was like, wow, that would be amazing. So I did move back to Mexico. And actually, I decided then to do a company in 2003 to be able to set up well the consultancy I was doing, because the brands I was, you know, giving the help, they had trouble to export, etc. So at one point I was, is it complicated to have a company that can have everything sorted? No, let's do it. So I did it with I created it with $260 registered in the company of Mexico.
$260. I love it.
Yeah, 3,000 pesos, so it will be around that, even less. Wow. And no, even less.
Yeah, it is.
No, yeah, it's $150 actually. Wow. Very good. But yeah, it was the money I had from South Africa, and the rest of the money was to invest into experiments, etc. Because I didn't ask, you know, 1 peso to my parents to start what I was doing. So everything I was doing,
you founded it all on your own. So that's an incredible.
Exactly. So to make the story short, this is how everything started, but not thinking about doing a brand. It was more walking into it. And until one point when I was doing experiments, some people I knew from the industry, when I was in the US, I met people from the industry, and they were, this is great, you should do a brand with that. And this is how the idea was born, about making it for friends and family. So that's the roots of K23.
I think a lot of
Why the
tequilas are
name?
made that way. I think a lot of people start off making tequila for friends and family, and then it's kind of like this actually might become a business, and let's see where it goes. And when was that? What year?
So then the brand was really created in 2005. And so,
And I just asked her why Calle 23, because I don't think I've ever asked you that, which sounds very strange.
Yeah.
Why I don't know that.
Yeah, thank you. I was going to ask that question, so thank you.
Sorry.
No,
I'm going to be interviewing Sophie now.
You should be
You're out now,
you know?
You have to go.
Well, actually, when I had the 3 profile ready, I spent a lot of time, 2 years developing, and playing with experiments and seeing what it gives. I say playing because to me it's something, it must a joy to work with the process. And then I was like happy. So I was with some friends in Guadalajara, in the Plaza de las Nueve Esquinas. Exactly, very much in the historical center. So it's a plaza that I always loved, because to me, you are it's very alive, the historical center. But you arrive to that plaza and it's like still the historical center, but like holidays. The rhythm goes down, and there's a mariachi playing, children playing with the fountain, street dogs. It's beautiful. A lot of colors. And to me, this is what I love from Mexico. So being there I would love to capture that name, to capture that place and that vibration in a name. And looking around, I saw, and it has been reproduced here, this street name plate.
Yeah.
Plate.
Mm-hmm.
It's not called anymore K23 because it's called Leandro Valles, and it changed the name. Before, all the streets were 19, 21, 23, 25, in one sense, and then but this plate is still there. It's engraved in the wall. They didn't remove it, and I love all stuff, the vibe it has. And I saw that, and I was great. K23, like it reminded me this great moment shared, this plaza, the Mexican vibe, and I was so there was no more.
And the reason when she said the name Leandro Valle, the reason I was like reacted to that is because I've only been living here a year and a half, but I know Leandro Valle very well because that's where the Tequileño offices have always been historically, was in Leandro Valle.
It's 2 blocks from there, exactly.
So wow. So that makes sense that makes together why you chose us both to be here. They were born in the same place, 2 blocks away from each other.
And actually, something on this computer, I can't turn it around, but there's a sticker of Tequileño with Don Javier. I just saw that this morning, and that's amazing.
Serendipity and amazing.
Serendipity indeed. Wow, that's such a small world. Well, now, Gina, you've only been in Guadalajara for a year and a half, right? Mm-hmm. You moved your entire family down there. So and during a pandemic.
Yeah.
So tell us how that happened. I know you from Don Julio for many, many years. So tell us the backstory.
Right. So as you said, I was born in the States. I was born in Chicago, but both of my parents are from Mexico. And I did live here when I was 15. So many years ago, I lived here for a year. And I always wanted to come back, share that same culture with my husband and with my kids. But it was always just in the back of my head. But we were on a family vacation. There was 19 of us, a big family, 4 sisters and extended family. And my kids were on this vacation. We went to Oaxaca, and my mother, I remember it so clearly. We're having dinner and she's just like, Gina, your kids do not speak Spanish. And I was like, no, but they do, they understand it. And then she's like, speak to them. And then it was very obvious that they weren't understanding what I was saying. And I was just because I thought I spoke to them, and I guess I thought they had picked it up, but they hadn't. And at that time, I was already working for El Tequileño, and we had just opened up a hotel, or we were about in the process of opening up a hotel. So for me, the quickest way, I was like, I need to remedy this. They need to learn Spanish. And, it's something that I want them to have, the Mexican culture anyway. So I just thought it was the perfect opportunity. So I said, you know what, we're going to move to Mexico for a year or 2, and we're going to get this fixed because they need to learn Spanish. Because I know it's helped me so much to know, I could live between both languages quite easily. Mm-hmm. And it opens so many doors for me. And I just want to have my kids have that as well. That, and then the culture. And Stefan, my husband, who's also in the tequila industry, we met in Mexico. We met in a tequila distillery. We got married in Guadalajara. So it just, it all made sense. And that's how we ended up here. February 29th, 2020 was when we moved here.
Wow.
And yeah, the whole world changed 15 days later.
Unbelievable. That must have been such an insane. I don't, boy, VOA, FYI, Dorothy Scott. Do you know what that means?
Do what?
No.
No.
VOA,
Oh.
FYI, no.
No.
Forwarding.
Sorry, Dorothy, I'm not sure what you mean. If you want to write back, let us know.
It means she loves agave and tequila.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Perfect.
But that's amazing. So you moved, you got this job, and the job, the company. How did you start working for them?
Well, I started working for them. So I, as you said, worked for Don Julio for 14 years, and then I took a couple years off. And during this time, I still did some consultation work. And I kept in touch with a lot of my old network and my old friends. And one of them was Kevin Vanegas. And Kevin is a dear friend of mine who started working as a consultant for El Tequileño. Well, he was like on the verge, like, yes, take it or not. And he's like, okay, Gina, you know a lot about tequila. What do you think about this tequila? So I go over his house and I tasted the Tequileño, the 50th anniversary. And I was just like, wow. This is amazing. Like, yes, say yes, whatever they're offering you, take it. Like, it's a good brand. And then he said, well, do you want to come on board and just help me with their, marketing strategy and just like some of the things that he's working on. So I helped him for about 6 months or so. I met the whole team, and then I was offered a job. Which I said, like, no, not right now, because, I just want to be a parent. I just want to, like, it's great as a consultant, but I can't take anything full time. And then I started working for them part-time till about 6 months ago when I started working full time for them. So it's just been, it was just the perfect opportunity, because when I started, like, being a mom is amazing. But then when I started again coming to tequila and coming to Guadalajara and just drinking more tequila again, I was just like, oh, like, just my heart just, it's full. Like, I need this.
Well, being a mom and tequila kind of go hand in hand. Like, you kind of need one to make the other one happen. I know that's not politically correct to say, but I find it works well.
Yeah, no, some days it works a charm.
It definitely works a charm. And I love the fact, also, I think an important lesson, something you mentioned to me yesterday, was you were stuck to your guns, right? They offered you wanted full-time, and you were like, nope. And you said part-time, and they were like,
we don't hire anybody part-time.
Yeah, but then they said fine. Like, you stuck
10 minutes later.
And so it does show that sometimes, and it's something I have to struggle with sometimes with clients, like, just stick to your guns and just have faith that, like, they'll accept whatever terms that if they're important to you, they're going to accept them. And if they don't, then something else will come along. So.
Right. I think that's really important, because there are so many brands out there, and there are also so many employees out there and so many brand ambassadors out there, but I think it has to fit with what you need and what they're looking for, and also like their culture of their brand with what you're looking for. And I think that it's just, because we spend so much time working, that it has to be fun, and it's got to be, like an understanding. And I think that I found that with El Tequileño. So much so that we've also invested money in the brand, because we just really believe in it. We just really think that it's a brand that has so much history, so much heritage, and that they accept that, because both my husband and I work for the same brand, that we're family. Like, right. Our family comes first.
No, I think that's an important thing, and learning to stick to your guns. And as I said, it's something, as you get older and get more experience, and you believe in yourself, but also, you said you had strict rules, like you wanted to be a mom and you wanted to be home, and finding that balance. The only time I've heard, like, when I was working for Diageo, and I had Dylan, and it was a very strange move. I became a mom and a brand ambassador. I moved from the corporate side into the street side, because I don't know why I thought that would be great, but it was. It turned out to work very well. But I had kind of rules. I said, you want me to, Ciroc, I was the main person working on Ciroc, and they said, we need you to travel. I said, well, I don't have any support at home. My husband at that time worked all the time, worked in restaurants, so I need to bring her with me. And I can't afford it, not on the salary you're paying me. So I need to bring, I need you to put in the budget for the sitter and the flights. And they did. I was able to bring my niece, who happened to be my babysitter, with me to Aspen and South Beach Food and Wine and Tales of the Cocktail. Like I brought her a lot of places, and it wasn't through DI, it was just a particular brand. Like I built it into the brand budget. I was like, if you need me, this is my requirements. Like I'm not going to be a good brand person without this. So they made it happen for me, which I was like, this is an important lesson to learn. Like sometimes if you don't ask, you can't get. And they were like, you're our only person, so let's make it work.
No, and also you just reminded me when I became a mother, I was a Latin American and Caribbean tequila ambassador. So I had been the tequila ambassador in Chicago. Then I moved to San Francisco and did it there as well for 4 years. And then they moved me to Miami so that I could cover Latin America and the Caribbean. When they moved me, I was already pregnant. I didn't know it. They didn't know it, but I was already, hired. And so when I was 20 weeks till I was 32 weeks, I traveled to 11 countries, like every Monday through Friday. Wow. And, they were supportive of it. And when I came back and I had, my maternity leave, I'm like, I can't come back to this. Like, I can't travel anymore. I can't leave my child from, Monday through Friday. And so they found me an office job in New York. So, thank God for that as well, because they really helped me through, becoming a better mother by being home, just having an office job. So it's really great.
No, which I think is great. And Sophie, you did something. You now split lives, right, between with Mexico and France, and your kids, and how does that work for you?
Yeah, it is also having to travel because, as I said, sometimes it's impossible to say no,
especially to yourself, because it's your brand.
Exactly. And you are always the worst one for yourself, right? Mm-hmm. So I have the chance. Well, yesterday I was discussing about that with some friends, and they were also, they don't know another kind of mommy. They know me, So basically, I came to them with a package of a very busy mother. And sometimes, for example, when my first one had a year and a half, I did leave for a month to Australia and New Zealand, for example. So it's a young, age to be without mama. But I can see also what it brings. And I always see, it's yin and yang. And every time you have something, you can see also the great part. So the fact that I was going away, it was a great way for the father to take his place, because usually as mother with a very little child, or children, we take more space. We think we are the best one maybe to take care of them, but it's super important to leave other people's place, or the father and also the grandparents. So when I left, the only thing I was taking care of is that they will be with people caring about them, not nannies, or nannies can be amazing, but not only this. And for me, it was a change. They could spend time with their grandparents.
Yeah.
So instead of being like, everybody was, how do you feel, without your kids? And to be honest, I arrived to Australia and I went partying until 6 o'clock in the morning. And I was,
you're like, it feels amazing.
Yeah, I feel like people ask me, they're like, oh my God, you must miss her. I'm like, no, not really. I mean, I love her and I do miss her when she's not here, but I do enjoy my time without my kid. When I was traveling, I was like, I get to be an adult. I get to go out. I get to have freedom. I'm like, there's that plus. And the only reason, and for anybody who's watching, because I know as a mom, like, if you're ever wondering, like, well, why is she asking them about the mom thing? Because I'll be honest with you, and I think I said to, I forget it was you or Gina or Sophie yesterday, I have asked this question to working dads, and their response is always, I have a really supportive wife. So that's why I feel the need to be able to ask the mom, because we have, because most of the guys don't make these kind of decisions, or, it's just not part of it. It's just like, no, my wife took care of it, so I don't have to. It's just, as supportive as the spouse might be, it always kind of, I don't know. I guess it's just who we are as people. Like moms, we just take on the role, and it's just what we do. And so for anybody thinking it might not be fair, like why? Because some people I hate when people ask me about what it's like to be a mom. They don't ask guys that. I'm like, so I did. I was like, I'm going to ask the guys. And the response every single time was, I have a great wife. Really supportive. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to stop asking that question because it's us. We do have to balance it, and we make a lot of the decisions, and and we figure it out. But I think it makes us better people.
Yeah, and
Multitaskers, and I think she was just asking me, as you were saying about supportive husbands, she's like, do we have supportive husbands? And I'm like, yeah, no, honestly, I think more so with the time. Like, I think when you're a brand new dad, or even when you're a brand new mom, you're still figuring it out.
Yes.
You're still trying to, your life changes drastically, especially when we're in this industry, because before it'd be like, oh, when I hang out, sure, like, let's go out, and now we can, but, there's got to be plans that are made ahead of time, et cetera. So I think that in that transitional time, I think I got it a little bit quicker than he did, but now he's on board and he's like really supportive as well. And we try not to travel at the same time. Like, we've been tag teaming it for the last couple weeks, and it's been, or months actually. And it's been fantastic. I just came, I was just telling you, I just got back 2 weeks ago today from a vacation where I was gone without him and just with a girlfriend, and he was really supportive of that. So sometimes you need that time for yourself and just to do it.
No, you really do, to reset.
good for you.
Yeah, I mean, I could have done it. Like, when I worked for Anheuser-Busch, I traveled around the world, and Philip looked after, that's his stepdaughter. He looked after it. It was like, and he travels a lot too. So then it was coordinating. I always tell people the one benefit of being divorced is I have an extra set of parents, that I can be like, hey, I'm traveling, so can you have? And then but the first layer was always Philip, and then the second layer was her dad. Like, usually the alternative was automatically, if I'm not going to be here, she'd be with her dad. But he works a lot, and he has a great wife. So we also have a second mom that's involved, and she's, so I was very lucky that I had all this like support team. I had to get divorced and remarried to get it, but I eventually it all worked out, and I don't recommend that because people ask me like, how do you do that? I'm like, they're like, can you do that without getting divorced? I'm like, probably not. It's not as easy to have all of that. But we figure it out. I just think as the women, I don't know, for some reason it's like for us, we make it all happen. We figure it out. And then the men just like they do what we tell them to do. It's like, here you go. This is what I figured out. This is your role in the process. And I'm going to continue living and doing my life. But the men just like wait for us to lead. Not always.
But it's what you've been mentioning also. It's like, if then you say, okay, I'm going to be out, then is when they really take all the responsibility in hands, and we are both lucky to have that chance to do it. Yes. But it's true that if we are, for example, the two of us, if something happens, I will be the first one to go to hospital or to go, to these things until you think, okay, sometimes it's great because also as a mommy, you want to, to be close, but there are things that, you could do and I don't have to do it. So it's a learning also, and discussing, exchanging and explaining, okay, we are both with important jobs that we love and responsibilities. So let's share.
Yeah, it is. I think the one thing I had to learn was, don't be a martyr, ask. Because whenever I ask, somebody would always help. And it's, it is something I always give to advice. And I'll get off this tangent for anybody talking, but like, it's something I always give to new dads when they first have kids. And I'll always say to them, I said, don't wait for her to ask. Just do it. I said, because we are just naturally born. Most women I know are really hardworking, and we'll just take on all the responsibility because we just do. So I said, don't wait for her to ask you, like, if you should look after the kid, or she wants to go get her nails done. Just be like, I'll take the kid. Go out. Go visit your friends or go do something. I was like,
happy wife, happy life, right?
Happy wife, happy life. And I think because I'm well, maybe it's just me, but I'm terrible at asking. It's taken me a long time to learn to ask for the help that I needed. And whenever I did, people always responded. All right, so we're going to get off the topic of being mom. We're going to actually go into a brand ambassador question. So, you guys both, have the responsibilities now where you can hire people to represent the brands that you work for. What are some of the qualities that, Sophie, I don't know if you have any I don't think you have any brand ambassadors besides yourself. Do you?
Not well. We had someone in Mexico, but no, it's something I need, and so that's great. That the question you are asking is like,
well, what are the qualities? Yeah, how do you decide? When you're looking at somebody's CV, and deciding, before that initial interview, like this is the qualities that I'm looking for, because I get asked this a lot. By brands, like, how do I know who's the right person to hire? Like, what are the experiences? Because brand ambassadors come in all shapes and sizes. So Gina, I don't know if you have any off the top of your head of things, the qualities you look for in a person or experiences that they have, or.
I think the number one thing is the personality.
Mm-hmm.
It's because it's such a face for, like, you just face so many people, so that you have to have the right type of personality. You have to be just open. So I think the personality is the number one thing, and just wanting to learn, because maybe you're not going to have 10 years of experience in the agave industry, and that's totally fine. But if you have a willingness to learn, and you have like an appetite for learning, and not thinking you're a know-it-all. And then the other thing would be just common sense. I feel that there's just a lot of people that don't have common sense right now.
How do you decide that? I guess that has to come through in an interview.
No, I mean, you can't ask somebody if they have common sense. You just like, with the questions, like the things that they say, you're just like, sometimes you're like, okay, mental note, this person doesn't have common sense. Like, let's keep looking at resumes. So I think those were the top thing. And like the number one would be the personality and a willingness to learn.
Okay. But how do you tell? I'm wondering, like, so if I'm submitting, just something to think about, if I'm putting my resume out there in the world, you can't tell if I have a personality. So like experiences wise, like the one thing I have seen that seems to be a commonality for many brand ambassadors, like bartenders who transition, is looking if they've entered into competitions, what their extracurricular activities sometimes, or things that they've achieved outside their normal job, is something I've noticed is very common for a lot of brand ambassadors. A lot of them have, as they were working a job, they also had a podcast or a blog, or they entered like multiple different competitions, because I think being a brand ambassador, you have to be slightly like an entrepreneur. So showing that you can balance lots of things. Yes, you have to have a great personality, but if you're a flake, it's not going to really work very well. I don't know. Sophie, do you have anything? Did you ever note things that you look for in a person?
Yeah, I do agree really with what you said, Gina. I think it's personality is very important. I will say, yeah, the humanity, the vibe of the person, because also it represents your brand. So it represents your baby or
Yes.
what so it's the face, right? Every day. So as you said, it's in front of many people, but it's also the face of the brand for many people. And I would say also to have respect for the industry and for the liquor store. So it's linked with what you said, but not trying to feel that you know everything, and to respect if a bartender is very busy. Obviously, you can't say, "Hey, I came to see you and I want to show you what I want to say."
Common sense.
First,
common sense.
Exactly, is what they need. What do you fit or not? You have to have the vibe. You have to feel it. So yeah, it's exactly that part. And a part that I will feel very important is to be self-organized. So not waiting for someone to say you have to do this and this, because it's you always have to adapt.
Yes.
If you arrive to a market, you may have planned something and you realize, for example, you have to do master classes, and you plan to speak about specific things, about the last special edition, and you realize the public still is not very confident in their knowledge between tequila and tequila 100% agave. So, adapt, and okay, you do everything from, the basis. So it's always organizing. Yeah, it's.
So for you, I also know, I think those are all great points, and definitely, understanding the difference between the different ones and being open to information to learn, because you're constantly evolving, you're constantly learning. Obviously, you have to respect the industry and the brand that you're working for. If you don't love the brand, you're never going to be a great brand ambassador. And definitely self-organization. If you're not somebody who can organize their day and time, because you're out there on your own, which is not always easy for a lot of people. But I'm also wondering, like on a CV itself, like showing if I'm a person and I'm applying, these are some of those. Do you care if they're certified in spirits at all, like WSET or Bar 5? Does that put them any higher in a ranking for you, you think?
I mean, I think it definitely does, but as you said, and I guess it's a different question because when I thought you asked, it was more like, you're in an interview and you meet.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, my bad.
If it's on paper, then yeah, it makes it a lot more difficult. What makes it easier is now that everybody's on social media. So, if a resume looks interesting enough, I'll just do a little snooping and, try to figure out a little bit more about the person. And yeah, I think that if education does matter. So if they are WSET certified, that's fantastic. If they have taken Bar 5, that's even like more fantastic because they know already all like the pillars of, what started like this industry, I feel. So I think that's great. But if you don't have all the other stuff, then that doesn't matter because you can send somebody to take that certification. Now that you have the program that you have, Elaine, like you could, if you have this amazing person, you can have them, hire your services so that they can go through all the videos and, you've already done all the legwork. So that's great that you have this format now and, that's fantastic.
Thank you. No, I was gonna say, it's a great point you mentioned about social media because is there something if you see on social media that would be a red flag for you and you're like, nope, like their CV is great, but I'm looking at their social and there's just things on there that there's
a lot of responsibility to work with alcohol. There's a lot of responsibility. So I think that you have to hire somebody that it has the maturity enough to know that, yes, there's always going to be a bottle. Like, again, I can't show where it's at. Okay.
That's it.
There's always a bottle of tequila or a bottle of vodka or a bottle of whiskey that's at arm's length, like depending on who you're working, what brand you're working on. But that doesn't mean that you're going to be drinking it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, that you have to be responsible. And sometimes through social media, you can see how people, behave around alcohol. And, that is a red flag for me because it represents the brand.
Yeah, absolutely. Sophie, anything?
Yeah, and the recommendation will be then, we all had, moment period in your life, maybe, younger, where it was more like party, etc. So someone who wants to be a brand ambassador and show the responsibility, maybe do a little cleaning in social media to show who the person wants to be.
Yeah, I mean, also, what do you feel about? I mean, there's also a lot of things to say, which is a little crazy, where people they're all negative. Like, I definitely know for me, it's like a red flag if like your politics are so hard and you're just so staunch about certain things and you're not an open person. Like you have, your views, it seems to be the most important thing in your life is like, a specific thing in life and you're just going after it. And it's like, how are you going to balance that with the brand? Like sometimes that could be a disconnect if somebody seems too hard lined on certain issues. I think you should be passionate about things, but then sometimes that can be a conflict because it's like, is this person the right fit for the brand? Because we might not line up politically or, their social values. I don't know if you've ever looked at that. So I definitely have. I've turned down resumes because I've looked at their social values. I'm like, no, these don't represent the brand that we are, that I'm hiring for, because I've had to hire for a lot of people.
And I think for a lot of, there's a lot of jobs that people that are a little polarizing can fit into, but I think representing a brand is not one of those areas. I think that, you can't have polarizing like views on things, and maybe you can have them on your own time, but not on your social media and not with your, customers. So yeah, I would agree with that as well.
Which is hard because it's like removing some freedom, but it's again, it's if some friends are posting things on you that should not be, it's where I'm thinking about the cleaning part, right? And then it should be a fit also. Okay, is the brand accepting and willing to have that image also of the person? And maybe there's some
sometimes it does fit. Sometimes they're in the same value length. Like I definitely know, I was talking to Steve Myers and he has very strong political views for illegal mezcal, and they are a social like a political platform. And they look for people who have the same political kind of background, and I mean they have a whole campaign like fuck Trump, and like they are very much so. They're not gonna hire Trump support, but they have like the other side. So there is sometimes the brands do aligned. I guess for me, I tend to like to spend time with people who I feel are measured. That you can have a two-sided conversation, well-rounded, and you can disagree, about different things. Those are the people I like to surround myself with, where you can have those kind of conversations. And but that's a whole nother story for another day.
Personality and respect. So if
personality and
the two
respect
are there, then it's a good combo.
No, I agree with you. And I think you can tell, you're right. You can tell a lot about a person's personality off of their social media sometimes, just even seeing their videos and what they're doing. You can see the kind of character that they are, which is a very, very good point. All right. So I want to talk about a little bit about, where are we in time? All right. We're still in the good time. You guys are both living, you're two women, you're obviously, you're living in Mexico, which can be a very macho society. And you're also working in tequila. You must have faced a little bit of challenges that you had to overcome. So, just or proving yourself. So were there any, like Sophie, when you came down there, what were some of the challenges you faced when you first moved there, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, I had it was at that time there was no many women in the industry, so obviously it was different, and I was young also, and I was French, so it was like
the trifecta.
like, but not the right triangular, right? I would have loved to avoid that. That said, I've been very well received by most of tequileros, to be honest, because also I didn't arrive like imposing, because at the beginning I didn't even thought to really walk into it, and I arrived with being an engineer, working in processes. So as I was then giving the consultancy on brands that were existing, I was working in the distillery when it was produced, so it was a natural way to enter.
Mm-hmm.
But that said, for example, once for one of the brands I was working for, we did set, parameters for the productions, and that I was checking. And one day I arrived in the morning and I checked the distillation made during the night, and you're like, something didn't go the right way. So you check the registration, and the cuts were not done, etc., the way it was supposed to be done. So okay, no worries. This production should then, stay within the distillery, but for that brand we need to do it again. And it's when I heard actually you are a woman and we don't want women here, so please do leave.
Wow.
But please leave. So it was, what was the reaction is, again, respect. Also everywhere, it was not my distillery, and I was, okay, I've been coming here, for some time now to work here. I understand now you are changing the politics of the place. I'm going to leave, but before we are going to close the numbers of the production, etc., I want to leave my work clear of what has been done, and then no worries, you will not see me anymore. And this is what happened, and what maybe they were not expecting, because I said to the client I was working for, okay, this is what happened, but no worries, this is the numbers, and there was no trouble. I just left when they asked, so you are fine. And he was, yeah, but I don't want to work with them if they are acting like this. So please do find, I trust you, find another place where you can do the production, where you can follow doing the production, and let's move.
That's fantastic.
So at the end, it's part of things, but it's not only in Mexico. For example, in the US, when I was searching for an importer, I went to WSWA, and there, you can feel when you enter into a room, with your bottles, you explain your project, and you just see the guys like, looking at you, not listening to you. So, yeah. And I was desperate about finding an importer, because it was an investment to me to go to the US to pay all of this. It was the last day, and I was, it's so sad. No, I would love to have an importer. And that meeting, with those guys in suite, and not paying attention to you. And when I left and I heard they were like, ha 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 ha, you're like, how comes, what is the, why? And I really wanted to punch their face, to be honest, but I just didn't leave and go to my room, cry, and say, I'm done. And then I was, no, you're not done. You came here, and until the end, you have to try. Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And actually, the following meeting is the meeting where I did find my importer.
That's fantastic.
So, yeah.
Because you're like, it's going to happen. You visualized it. Like,
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, and if it's a no, but at least I would have tried. And that's so. But I guess it can happen to, you know, to guys also, to people who doesn't look the way people think they should look. So it's a woman, but it's also, I think, like more general, you know, someone, I don't know, someone very, very short and looking, I don't know, with something different on the face.
What they don't expect.
And it's not right.
Not what they expect, and so they don't want to do business or whatever it is, you know, who knows? And the WSWA is in a very intimidating place, but I think the lesson is if you stick to your guns, you believe in yourself, and you didn't give up, you know, you can get what you want. It just might take quite a few meetings to get there. So, you know, which is an incredible story. And Gina, I know, you know, you came to Mexico, and did you experience any challenges? I mean, besides the pandemic?
Well, you know, I think that traditionally, and I already maybe am used to it because I am from Mexican parents, so I've been around sort of that machista mentality for a very long time, but I come from a family that's mostly women, and they're very strong women. So I don't feel it as much, although I sometimes see it and I hear about stories, but I've been fortunate enough that I haven't like really experienced that machismo to a big extent, you know, like maybe I do and I just wash it off because I'm like, you know, just whatever, like that, I'm not going to change their mind, moving on. But I think that I have been in this industry for, you know, 17 years. So I think when I do start talking about agave and they know that I know what I'm talking about, that they don't see me just like, you know, another little girl or something like that. They're like, well, she's putting her time. She knows the right people, and she's like, and I don't expect it, you know, I just sort of put in the work and not, you know, walking in and expecting it. And I've been really fortunate to have really great, you know, managers, both women and males, that have, you know, taught me that it could be different. So I don't really have a story that sounds awful that would happen to WSWA, but I'm also in a different, you know, because she's the brand owner and I'm just, you know, the person that talks about the brand. And,
just no, you are. But so you are
a brand owner. No, and be honest with you, I didn't experience it that much. And if I did, I just ignored it. Like, you know,
that's exactly the same thing.
I just learned I would just listen to it, and I would use it to my advantage. And I'm like, that's right. I look good and I'm smart.
Yeah.
And, you know,
and then I think when it happens to you is always taking it, you know, not making like, oh, because you know, once I was going to a meeting in another city, and the guy I was going to have the meeting with did rent one hotel room for the both of us. I ran into the room, I saw his things, and I was like, all right, oh, I see that you are already having this room. No, it's yours. No, it's your things. No, let me go, and I'm going to book. And so I had to pay expensively because you have to go and find the room.
Wow.
And, you know. But you're like, how can they imagine doing this? You
right.
know, like, but you have, the best way is also to, you know, and I did
brush it off.
Exactly, and laugh about it.
Yeah.
Or at one point, I had a false ring, you know, I did buy like a false, because we also provided
a false wedding ring.
Yeah. And then came back while saying, yeah, I'm engaged, you know, like, but even with that, you know, there was a provider, you know, trying to kiss me, and I was, hey, no, and I'm engaged, you know, and it was like, it doesn't matter, he's not here. And it was, I had to laugh because he was putting me on the wall, you know, you're like, no, I can decide with who I want to go out and I don't want. But let's go and let's and what about and you follow, you know?
Yeah. It's interesting. That's so funny. I've had that happen to me and I've had that line, and I just, you know, I just laugh. I'm like, you're just a moron. Like, I just, you know, like, I'm just going to pretend you didn't say that, and we're just going to move on, and it's fine. And, you know, it's funny, when I worked for Anheuser-Busch, I will say that was the one thing I was really impressed about. Or maybe I was just older, I don't know, and I didn't look the way I used to, but I will say, I mean, they are so well trained. They don't even look up from their desk. Like, you walk by, no matter what you're wearing, they're just like this. You know, I don't see, like, it was another girlfriend of mine who came from Danny Myers from the Shake Shack. She's very attractive, very young. She goes, do you find it odd that men just don't look at you at all? Like, don't look at you. Like, you just don't, like, they won't even look at you in the eye. Like, they just, and I was like, is it you too? She goes, I mean, I'm telling you, like, they are so well trained that they're afraid to even just glance in your direction. It was the most bizarre. I mean, for 3 years, I mean, literally, like, nobody, they, like, you could, like, come in new hair. They just are trained not to, like, compliment you in any way, like, new haircut, glasses, whatever. It's just like, Elaine, just talking to you. It was so the most, and that's the beer industry. It was so bizarre because people, it is a male dominated industry, and like 90% of the room, and then mostly the people in Anheuser-Busch were Brazilian, so that was even more bizarre. The most rude thing that they did was speak in Portuguese 90% of the time while you're in the room. And you'd be like, I don't speak Portuguese. Could you mind speaking in it? And they'd be like, oh, yeah. So they didn't really regard you as a person either, but they also definitely didn't look at all. It was very bizarre culture, very different than the spirits industry, where we're all like, hey, you look great. How you doing? Like, it's a whole nother world.
Yes, but as a brand ambassador, I think for a female, the good thing to learn about these experiences is you don't have to act as the other person is waiting for you to act. So even if you have, for example, a big, an important meeting with, I don't know, a liquor chain that is so important, and the guy is like trying to, to do something more with you, is okay. This is humanity. You know what you are explaining. I think it's too extreme. We are human, no?
Yeah,
good,
we're human. We're allowed to see each other.
You look awesome. So why can't be the reverse? So I think it's just a matter of everyone knowing the key about how to twist the situation.
Yes.
So I don't, these guys did try, and let's say it's fine. Well, renting only one room, maybe it's too much, but it's the human being.
It's a human being.
And then it's how to learn about not taking it like
and
not taking it a big thing.
I won't embarrass people. I'll just make fun of them and like, you're such an idiot. Let's just move on. Like,
I offer people a glass of water. I was like, oh, it looks like you need a glass of water.
Yeah.
Like when guys are just trying to, just get too close, or they think that, because you've had a few drinks that you're like might be interested. And it's just like, you know what? I think it's time for you to have a glass of water.
I think it's
and I'll just walk away, or I'll go to the bathroom or something, and I'll come back, and then I'll just pretend like nothing happened. And it's just like,
and a lot of times they're embarrassed. They realize they stepped over a line, and I'm like, but I'm not gonna ruin your life or do anything. I'm just like, it's okay. Like, we have that
flattering sometimes.
Sometimes it is
you were offended when they didn't look at you in Anheuser-Busch.
I was horrified. I was like, God, did I get that old? Like, I was like 42. I was like, I still look good. Why isn't anybody like just look at my girlfriend? She's like, I hate the fact that they don't look. She's like, I look good. Like, no. So it is, you can go either way, but I do know there's a fine line, and I think we all agree upon that. And it is about learning how to respect each other's boundaries, but also being able to have that kind of innocent, like, it's like, we're just human. Like, we find each other attractive, and we can have that conversation without thinking somebody's crossed over the line. And I'm from that generation. I'm from the, I'm 50. Like, I grew up in that generation. I like to see that things have obviously progressed and changed. And then when I walk in a room, just because I'm a woman, I don't have to prove myself. And right now I don't feel like I don't have to, I think things have changed a lot more. But I still think we should be able to interact with each other as humans and just have a natural.
Exactly. Sophie. And Elaine, you look amazing.
I wasn't born that. I realize it does sound like, it does sound like I was asking for a compliment there, and I'll take it. All right, so Gina, let's talk about your tequila and the hotel, and like, what does it offer to the trade? Like, you offer experiences, right? I think if anybody's watching this, like, what can they expect if they go down to Mexico? And
right, I think so. The brand El Tequileño has been around since 1959, so over 62 years of history. It's one of the only brands that isn't made in a place where they make many different contract brands. So there's about like less than 10 distilleries that have only ever made one brand, and Tequileño is one of them. All of the processes are the same. So the grandfather who founded it, it's his great grandson, or his grandson, that is the current master distiller. So keeping the recipes, like only agaves from the highlands, which are a little sweeter, more fruitier, floral, sweeter taste profile. We are one of only 4 distilleries in the town of Tequila that have access to the water that comes from the Tequila volcano. So it's natural spring water that we use in our process. Double distillation in copper stills, and copper just, offers the flavor that we're looking for in our tequila. So it's a really great brand with a lot of history. But how do we get that history known to more people? So we wanted to build a hotel. So they built a 25-room boutique hotel that's right next to the distillery. And it was already property that was owned by the family. They used to have parties there. The grandfather, the founder, he used to have parties there. And so now we're like, okay, let's continue having these events and having like just people come and experience what Tequileño is all about. So it's a 25-room boutique hotel that the purpose of it is that Monday through Thursday, we want it to be a hospitality suite so that any bartenders that come over from the States or Europe or anywhere, Australia or Mexico, because there's a lot of people, bartenders that come even from La Bahía de Banderas, which is like the Vallarta, Sayulita, Punta Mita, which is only a 4-hour drive. So we host the trade. And we want them to come and visit and not only learn about our tequila, but also we're right next to Fortaleza. So we'll always, send them people over so that they can, go learn about Fortaleza and other tequilas, distilleries that are in the area. We do offer experiences also of like people wanting to take a walk through town with a guide. That's so great. That they can learn about the town of Tequila, because that's the birthplace of tequila. So we just want people to, know about how special this magical town is. It's a World Heritage Site. So we want people to really just embrace the culture. And it depends on, if it's somebody that is really into culinary things or like they're a chef. There's like this little place that we found that's close by that does like, not classes, but they like cook everything in a stone that's heated by wood. So it's really great. Or we'll do, right now we have started offering some experience in agave fields as well, so that people can learn. Our agave fields are about 4 hours away because all our agave comes from the highlands and we're in the town of Tequila. But then we've connected with another distillery that's not too far, and they have agave fields there. And then they've been offering those experiences for us. So I think what's great is that we feel like in the US, maybe it's all competition, with all the different brands. Mm-hmm. But here in Mexico, we all help each other out, which is really amazing.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I love that. I don't know. I know you watched the. It's on my bucket list of places to come ever since Kevin Venegas told me about it. I was like, oh my God. And I was so great to make the connection. I was like, wait, this is the same hotel that Kevin mentioned. And it's been a while since I've been to Mexico. But you're speaking about all the brands all working together. And in the when I did the interview with Julio and Tomas Estes, Julio tells that great story of Tomas when he had Cafe Pacifico in and he arranged for Julio was coming with all the people from all the heads of distilleries traveled to the first time ever. They did like a European trip. There was like 200 people like that all came. So him and Tomas actually helped arrange it, but he Julio was coming with them or something of that nature. But he arranged for them when they got to London that they would have their event at Cafe Pacifico. And he said, everybody asked, can we bring our tequila? He said, fantastic. He said, my only request is that I get to keep all the tequila that's left over. And he said, yeah. And Julio said it was the first time of its kind, event of its kind, where all the tequila producers were together. But everybody had their own tequila on a table, and then everybody started sharing. Like everybody was walking around, tasting each other. He's like, it's never happened again. It was a fantastic event. All these people in one room, all their tequilas, everybody was sharing. And he said it was quite magical. So maybe that can happen again. Have a little conference in Mexico this time, though.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Why don't you ever have that? Do all the tequila companies ever get together in Mexico and have a party?
Well, I mean, I guess that's what La Capilla was all about. La Capilla, which was Don Javier's cantina. They used to get together like every other week, and then a lot of the tequileros from the town of Tequila would get together and just drink tequila and just hang out, listen to some music, have some food there. So I mean, I think it was part of the culture there, but I think what Julio was saying is because a lot of the tequilas are so spread out. You know, like Calle 23 is made in the highlands of Jalisco. We're in the town of Tequila. So, you know, and then traffic between the two.
I've done that drive.
So, so yeah, not that I know of, you know, like the maybe the tequileros in the town of Tequila, like Guillermo, the owner of Fortaleza, is always at Casa Salles having breakfast. Like he's just always there, or he'll have dinner there sometimes. And so we do support each other a lot in the town of Tequila. We just have to maybe make an effort to start also doing it with tequilas from the highlands, and maybe, you know, having them over and us going over.
Yeah, Guadalajara, Guadalajara, right? Yeah, we were, and we have to plan it again, but we did already.
Oh, we could do it. So I'm Matilde, mi amor. So,
perfecto, cuando lo hacemos, ¿verdad? Thank you, Helen, because you are the
you're welcome. I want to be invited. That's all I request.
So for Christmas, for like between after Christmas and through New Year's, we've rented this house. Steph and I rented this house in Tapalpa, and it's like it has like 9 little huts. So yeah, we have a bunch of people from the tequila industry coming over. Like,
and you don't know you still don't know about it, but I've been invited by one.
Oh, perfect. Well, then come on over.
Like I'm already
I didn't have the time to call you and to say, but I know the invitation.
We still have space, so the invitation's open.
But yeah, we did it already also in Guadalajara, and we have to do it again. And it's a great thing about, hey, you know, with Arete, Don Fulano, Fortaleza, and, you know, whenever. Hey, or even Agave Spirit also, you know, La Venenosa, etc. So it's like, hey, let's meet, and let's plan something. So it's really something we do, and we don't even speak about really, but you know.
No, we just drink the tequila. It's not like a staff training, right?
Yeah, and then it's sometimes we'll speak about agave prices or things like this, and share like shortage in bottles, you know, facts that are really like affecting us now, and how do you do, and what is your so it's great, because knowing also the agave price is a way to know, okay, to see, okay, right now I'm buying that much. Oh, great. And it's important for us.
Yeah, I can imagine it is to share that information, like when everything that's going on. And also, you know, if somebody's, I mean, I don't know how transparent everybody is about sharing, you know, new technology or, you know, I don't know if they figure something out. Because I know people are always working on different projects, you know, especially now with sustainability and things of that nature. I don't know if, you know, that's stuff that you guys ever share.
Exactly. Yeah, it's okay. Oh, I did that. It didn't work really well. Don't do it. And then this is working very well, etc. So that is, and this is what I love, is you can really feel like it's an open source, and we don't see each other like, if I say that, it's going to steal me market. We will never think about that.
That's fantastic.
We know that what we do has a personality and is, you know, will be chosen by certain kind of people, and these people, and sometimes you're like, have you tried these brands, you know, or do you know these people?
And more so all others, like maybe vodka's the competition, or whiskey's the competition, or some other spirit, but tequila, we're still trying to support each other.
You're growing the category as a whole, which I think is great. So it's not just about your individual brands, and that's gonna, you know, it's gonna bode success. You know, if you're growing the category, and obviously it is growing, especially in America, but Europe, you know, you still have a ways to go.
Well, Eric, is Eric from Norway, all the way from Norway?
That's awesome. I was gonna say, and Sophie, you know, we talked a lot about your brand already, but I don't know all the lines that are in Calle 23. I know I don't say 2023 correctly. So tell us, I would love to know a little bit more. I know we've learned about your story and how you started creating the brand. Now, what is available out there in the marketplace? And it's in mostly Europe, right? And a little bit of America, correct?
Yeah, exactly. So we are in, I think it's now 19 countries. And we have a waiting list, I think, I have to update it, I think it's 20. So, wow. But that said, and Norway was actually the last country we did open with Japan last year. But the aim is to keep focused on quality, not on volume. So I can decide this because it's my brand, and I don't have, you know, investors saying, hey, you have to grow more or this percentage. You know, I just applied for a bank loan, and, you know, it's the first time I did a business plan.
Wow.
in my life. My company has 18 years, and it's the first one. So my partner in life is like, I don't know how you manage your company, but it's doing well. Just do it the way you are doing. So far I was doing it, I was not spending what I didn't have. Now I realize with the price of agave, I needed to do a loan. That's a fact. And because it's a big investment, and then when you keep it in barrels for 2 years, that money, is in barrels, and I like to wait 6 months minimum, or in the tank, or a year. So it's like a very long-term investment. So to be able to build quality and to keep it, I can't grow too fast. So that's why we are mostly in Europe. Australia is very great for us also. It's a beautiful market that I really love, because they did the trust in K23 when there was no 100% agave at that time. So it was very beautiful. So New Zealand, we are in India, in Japan, and I would love to. And in the US, the good news is that we are going to grow more in more states this 2022. This is the 2022 plan, and it was time, because I know people, for example, from Texas have been asking for K23 for a long time. I have aficionados, like, I think every 15 days, sending me messages. I'm not
That's
joking.
always encouraging, and people are wanting, the product before you even arrive there. And how many marks are in the line now? I know I've had your Blanco, but is there a Reposado and you?
Yes. Yeah. So Blanco, Reposado, Añejo, and then Añejo is this one. And then I have a single barrel.
Ooh.
And there was the first limited edition also in Blanco.
Wow, because I was going to say, that's the one I've never seen before, and that and the single barrel. So what is that one?
So this one, I did it when I was pregnant of my first child, Abel, because I thought, I would like to do something special for his birth. I'm not very good into doing, this picture and something to send. I'm not good to that. So I was, okay, let's do a tequila then. And so I took my notebooks of ideas I had stuck for some time. When you do production, obviously you're not going to change the profile when you love it. But you're always thinking of, what will happen if I would do that and that. So special editions are fantastic for that, because then you can experiment. And then I would never plan before any launch. The first one to decide is a product. So you do an experiment, you let it live, you let it, rest and get rounded, and then blind testing. And blind testing, if it's a wow, then it means you can build actually the outfit. So and sometimes my team hate me for that, because they are like, why don't you leave us more time to plan the packaging, something like this. But I still don't know if the liquid will be great. So we can plan something. First, the liquid has to be great. And then we can see if it's going to go out. So, hola Kiyoshi! So he's our importer in Japan.
Hello.
And he loves Criollo. So that's fantastic. So it's so that's how the brand was born. And I have a second child, so there's he's going to turn 3 in not a long time. It's something very, very special that has been produced for him. So you will hear about that in 2022.
Oh, that's kind of exciting. And did you find, I was going to say, because you were the one tasting the brand, when you were pregnant, did your taste buds change? Did you notice?
I wouldn't, to be honest.
I didn't notice it. People say this happens, but I was like, I don't experience. Gina, have you ever noticed that? Like when you're
No, when I did notice it, as I did a cleanse for 30 days, and I only ate raw and just fruits and vegetables. So after 30 days of that, and like the tinctures I was taking, then I was like, wow, I just was able to really taste so much better than I had before. But now it's sort of gone back down, so I have to do another cleanse to reset myself.
You have to reset your palate. No, I get that. If I dry January, which I don't do very well, but I try for at least 2 weeks or so. I find my taste buds, kind of refresh themselves as well. But I don't know if I could do the raw. That just sounds too brutal.
It went by so quick. I didn't even
Really?
really notice it. And I just felt like amazing afterwards. And like my taste buds were just much more brighter, everything. And
Interesting.
yeah.
Wow. Maybe that's the new, like before any, spirit competition, everybody has to do a raw diet for
30 days. Yeah. Highly recommended.
Make it 23 days.
Oh, 23 days. There you go.
All right. So I think we've talked enough about careers and balance in life. So we're going to go into, we're going to finish off with 2 questions. So where do you see the world of agave going in the next 5 years? Like, do you guys have what you see kind of happening within the industry, new products you're going to see out there in the marketplace or new markets? I don't know. What are your thoughts? I know I hate this question for myself, but I'm going to send it to you because I get asked it all the time about different things. So I figured it's my turn to ask other people these kind of stupid questions, but I think it's a good one. You're the women in the industry. You see, what's happening. You see the markets, you travel around the world. So Sophie, for you, what do you see happening in the next 5 years for agave?
It's good that you ask about agave and not only about tequila, because actually there's a lot of interest around what is produced in Mexico, or even, there's project outside of Mexico with agave. And I think it's great. It's great because agave is magnificent plant. It's a translation in Greek, and it has a lot to express. So being able to also, when I love when I speak about tequila, to also say there's raicilla, bacanora, sotol, so to open also people's mind to taste something else. And I think the tequila, the great thing that is happening right now is that we have also to recreate interest on tequila. Because tequila was there, then there has been this highlight on mezcal, and now on this other agave spirit, and it's a motivation for tequila producer to say, we also rethink ourselves, or update our taste and what we want to express of our tequila. So having limited edition, I did that, but there's many brands thinking about what we can make like a twist in our process and what it could express and what we want to show to the consumer. And I think it's fantastic. It's like, taking a risk also, because you do something and you're like, let's see what happens and how it will be received. But it's challenging. It's challenging for yourself, and you do your blind testing, and you're like, okay, I do love that. And now let's see what the market will think about it.
Yeah, I think that's great. So a lot more experimentation, a lot more of the other agave spirits coming to market, like raicilla and sotol, which is very exciting stuff.
And we were discussing about single barrel, right? So I think that's super interesting also.
Yeah, I think just more continued innovation, and I think that more continued growth. Like when I started working in the tequila industry, they're like, tequila is the fastest growing category. And here it is 17 years later, it continues to be the fastest growing category, and more people are interested in it. And I feel like what Tequila Matchmaker has done with having the additive free program, people are just becoming more knowledgeable also about the NAM, where's your tequila made? Is it made in a NAM where they make 50 different tequilas? Do they put additives? So I think people are becoming more educated, and they're also demanding more. I feel that right now, it's a very strong seller in, or agave spirits in general are in, Mexico, the United States, Europe, but I think that's going to continue to grow. Yes, they sell it in other places, but they have the basic brands. They don't really have, additive free or really great tequila selections in a lot of different places. So I think that is going to change. But because it's going to continue to grow, I feel that there's going to be some changes, perhaps the denomination of origin is going to have to grow. Right now it's currently in 5 states. It's the state of Jalisco. It's 100% of the state of Jalisco, but the other 4, it's just municipalities. And perhaps it's not going to go to new states, but they're going to grow the amount of municipalities. That's what I feel might be coming down the line. And
that's fantastic. And also explore on the non-additives, because I definitely know what the legal laws, you're going to add up to 2%, right? Of anything.
Yeah, you could add up to 1% of additives into a tequila, but when they wrote the law, the potency of those additives was probably not what it is today. Like on Tequila Matchmaker on their app, they have like a thing that's called School, and I saw this little video where it's like a blanco tequila, so it just like completely looks clear, and then they have the additive of oak extract, and with a toothpick they put like 1 or 2, 3 drops in it, and then it turns into like, oh, what a beautiful añejo. So like that's how strong the additives are now, and I think that people for a long time have been asking for sweeter tequilas, and oh, I love this because it smells like chocolate or cherry, or like things that should not happen in agave spirit. But the consumers have been demanding it, but they didn't know it was like additives.
Right.
And now that they are educated about additives and people trying to eat, like, just eat better.
Do you think that's not going to be the label? Because you see that in the rum industry now. It's like no sugar added. It's distilled from rum, no extra sugars added. So you think maybe in tequila?
Well, the first tequila that I saw that did that is a tequila called Atanasio. So it's a tequila that's made not too far away from where El Tequileño is made, about 15 minutes away. But they have one that's still proof. I think it's 46% or something like that. But they have, and it was approved by the CRT, and on the label, on the actual label, because right now, we could put stickers on them or something that says, without additives, but on the actual label, it was, I just keep not knowing how to place this. So on the label, it says sin aditivos. So I think that is going to be something that's going to be continued to be like people are going to demand.
Yeah, I think that's great. It's good to hear. And I'm going to look up Tequila Matchmaker. I've never been on that site. So thank you.
Oh, you have, it's an app, and it's an amazing app, amazing app. And,
fantastic. Yeah. So as a consumer, you kind of look at it and kind of go in there. Fantastic. I love it. I'm going to share with all my, I knew tequila was growing. Obviously we're in the industry, we hear about it all the time. But for me, the test is if the moms, I have like a mom group, and for any of you watching, like you have to have your mom group, right? So, and I call it my mom group because if we weren't moms and I didn't know them from school, I probably wouldn't be hanging out with them. But I do like them as people. They're very nice and lovely. And it's just, we wouldn't probably, we live in different circles. And, but I see them at least once or twice a month. And I'm very grateful for their information and support. And when tequila became the thing that they all were asking for, like they, if they were coming over to my house, they're like, oh, Elaine, you're going to make margaritas? Or, or I'd start to see it on their bar that they were having tequila sodas instead of vodka sodas. I was like, wow, tequila has made the leap. It is. Moms on the Upper East Side are demanding their tequila, and they're drinking it and loving it and looking for different brands. So,
and Julio has done a lot with the Tommy's Margarita, which is like, I don't know anybody who doesn't like a Tommy's Margarita.
Yeah.
My parents, when they do it, in France, when there's like the neighbor night, in France they do one day when all the neighbors can meet in the streets and do something. My father does Tommy's Margarita, so first people were like, oh, tequila. But then one person tried, and then there's a line, in front, like everybody wishing it. So it's,
it's a good, granted, it got bastardized when they started marketing it as a skinny margarita, which became the bastardized version of the Tommy's Margarita. I'm like, no, that's a Tommy's Margarita you're making right now. But okay, like if you want to, but I guess for Julio. And actually, all right, wait, real quick. Tell your very quick story of how you met Julio Bermejo, because I think this is a good story.
So I lived in Chicago. I moved to San Francisco in 2009, I believe. And so, of course, like one of the first places I had to go to was Tommy's, because I needed to just learn all about tequila. Well, I already knew about tequila, but anyway, so that's, I think, the first time I met him, or I might have met him in Mexico, but that's the first time that I really, like, he made an impression on me, because I was like, oh, I'm the Don Julio ambassador. And he's just like, oh, like, okay, whatever. And then he starts talking to me, and he made me a flight of margaritas, and it just blew my mind, because that was coming from Chicago. The margaritas were not fantastic. They could put in Sprite, 7-Up, like, because this is back in 2005, 2006. And
nobody knew.
Like margaritas, like with sweet and sour, and like just a bunch of stuff that wasn't great. So go to Tommy's, and then they made me the flight of margaritas, and they made one with Don Julio, another one. Well, I think he made the first flight with just all 3 Don Julios, but a Blanco, a Reposado, and an Añejo, just with Tommy style margarita, and it just like blew my mind. And then I had another flight with like some other tequilas involved, and it was just like wow. And I love Julio because he's just such like he embodies hospitality, and he just after that, I've got so many memories with Julio like over the years, and he's just like a fantastic human being. And I'm jealous because Stefan's hanging out with him tonight in London. I think it's Tequila Tapatio, Tequileño, Ocho, and I can't remember what other tequila, but Altos. So they're all getting together and they're doing a special tribute to Tomas tonight.
So Gabi Agave is the one. Gabi Bucala is the one also putting that.
I love hearing that. Oh, I miss Tomas. And Sophie, you're very funny.
Yeah, and what you said is true. It's when you speak about Julio, because when you mentioned before, what is great about the tequila being together, etc. I think Julio and Tomas have been pioneer into that. Yes. Julio did organize a tour of, I think it was one of the first tours for bartenders,
Yes.
And it was in the tequila industry, and Julio built it. Well, before there was with other spirit, but Julio built it for tequila. And from the very beginning, it was touring and being clear about it. We are going now in your distillery, and they were saying, and then after that, we go there, and we go there, and we go there. And everybody has to approve it. If not, they were out of the tour. So it became in people's mind natural that people will come to your distillery and then go somewhere else.
Right. Not just one distillery, see multiple distilleries, yeah.
Exactly. And when these distilleries never experienced tours before. So from the beginning, it was done like this. And then it was like, yeah. So I think that's what is fantastic. And myself, I met Julio before knowing anything about the industry. So because in France, cocktail was not existing. So when I was in South Africa in 2000, one day I received a phone call, from inside the distillery saying, "Hey, there's someone who is calling from San Francisco, and they want to know if there's a tour. Can we pass you the call?" I was like, "Okay." So hello, and my name is Julio. My parents have a Mexican restaurant in San Francisco. I love agave. I know you're doing agave spirit. When can I have a tour? And it was, well, we don't do tour, but the distillery is open every day, so we are producing every day. So just come whenever you want. Oh, so I'm planning maybe to come in 1 or 2 months. Yeah. And so 1 or 2 months after, I receive again like the call, "Hey, I'm here. Can I come? Hola, Magali." So yeah, that's the great part of being all together. Magali from Tapatio, and also all the La Alteña distillery. Fantastic brands, the producer. So yeah, and then so Julio arrived at the distillery, and being very humble as he is, and just asking, "Oh, may I take pictures?" Yeah, and asking about the process. And as he's a fantastic human being, with then after showing everything, tasting, and he was like, great. Huh? We went for dinner. I brought him also to see a reserve of animals, wild animal,
Wow. We're in South Africa.
Yeah, exactly. So that was great. And yeah, we stay in touch. Fantastic. So that was it, no? And in 2001, the distillery asked me to travel to the US to explain how was produced the agave spirit. So my first time in the US, I arrived on the 5th of September. And before that, there was not booking.com. I didn't know where to arrive, there was not much internet. I remember using Skype, and we were 200,000 users. There was a number of users in the bottom of Skype, So it was really the beginning of it. And so I called Julio saying, "Hey, can you recommend me an hotel where I can stay?" "Oh, well, there's a spare room at my parents' place where I'm staying also. Well, just come, and okay." So who welcomed me in the US was Julio's father, Thomas, from the name of. So he welcomed me in San Francisco airport and saying, "Welcome to America." I will remember him, at the arriving room, and I was like, "Oh, great." So I stayed, with what happened on September 11th, basically. I got stuck with the Bermejo family And it was the best place to be stuck, like in the pandemic when you're stuck somewhere. It's great to be in Mexico and being all around. So again, yin yang, sad parts bring also,
there can't be black without white, or there can't be white without
exactly. And then you take it. Okay, I'm stuck, but Julio, how can I help? And then I've been taught about how to choose lime, because they're choosing lime in the market to do the Tommy's margarita. So one by one, it's like this one yes, this one no, etc. So
Wow.
I was doing that, doing T-shirt at night with Julio, etc. And he also made me know the industry, which I didn't know. So it was going to see friends from the industry, other bars, and it was for me a discovery of seeing someone taking a glass. We need a tequila.
I know, I was thinking that.
Yeah, we've been arriving and setting it, and but we should finish our water. Actually, we will do that.
Grab a glass, Gina.
Exactly, and so knowing the industry, meeting people, and that will be smelling what we are producing in South Africa, and like thinking, and then grabbing bottles or squeezing juices and creating a cocktail. And I was like, oh, well, that's amazing. Because it was being on the other side. Because when you are in a distillery and you don't know that world, basically you are producing what you are asked to produce. And then you do also think about ideas. But if the distillery you work in is not, is like, no, this is the way it has to be done, you don't think about something else. So I'm not saying you have to produce what people expect.
Yeah.
But it's great to understand also, the use, etc. And then you're like, yeah, I can go that side, even if it's going to be like a stronger, like in feeling, it will fit also. There's people who will love that. So it has been like, yes, mind opening.
Yeah, no, I think that's amazing, because I do think you have to try. We get sent spirits all the time, and the first thing we'll do is, people ask us for their opinions, and it's something that Philip taught me. It's like you try it in the classics. You automatically, so if somebody sends us a gin, we'll make a gin and tonic, we'll make a martini, and we'll make a Negroni just to see how they taste. And the same thing for tequila. Somebody sends me a tequila, I'm gonna, taste it neat, and then I'm gonna make a margarita out of it just to see how it tastes. Because I think that's the true quality, to see how people are actually going to consume it. So that must have been a really great experience to be able to see it, especially for you, Gina, as well, to be able to taste the Don Julio and the brand margarita and the way they're consuming. I know I'm jealous. I only have some water. But cheers, ladies. And thank you so much for being on. This has been so lovely to catch up with both of you, first of all. So this has been a great interview. I know we're going way over our time. But
I feel like I'm just hanging out now.
Yeah, exactly.
Now we're I will ask, so in the last part of this, I always end with this. So if you, we've all learned some important lessons while on the job, like things you're like, wow, all right, I know that. So this is good for me to know. And you pass this knowledge on to other people. So do you have any words of wisdom, that something you kind of learned? It could be from anything as simple as like things, the way to organize yourself, to when to take vacations, to like what not to do or do in bars and restaurants, to, I don't know, anything you think of, some words of wisdom that have really helped you in your life that you would like to share with other people who are becoming brand ambassadors or are brand ambassadors.
I think an important thing for me that it took me a bit to learn is to have patience in yourself. Because sometimes when you start a new job, there's all this pressure to have results right away. And I think that you can't have fruit before planting the tree and letting it grow and watering it all the time. So it's hard work, and don't be tough on yourself. Like if you're doing things the right way, you will have fruit.
Yeah.
But just have patience and do things right, and don't try to take shortcuts. And don't, just put in the hard work, because that's what it takes.
No, I think that's great advice. And it's also great advice for brand owners to know that. Like when you hire somebody, don't stress them out. Don't how many brand ambassadors I have brand ambassadors going through the Beverage Brand Ambassador Academy right now. And it's like the first chapter is like, just chill out. It's going to take you a couple of months. And then I do one-on-ones consulting with some of the new brand ambassadors. And sometimes I get that, like, but they gave me like these big goals, and I was like, okay, I said, do you want me? And I'll have a conversation around like, you're freaking this person out. Like what you're giving them is impossible. They've been on the job for a month. There's no way they're going to be able to sell that many things. I was like, even if they have connections out the wazoo, it still takes time for them. It's a new brand. They know each other, but it doesn't mean they automatically want that person's brand, or it might not be a good time. So I think it's really good advice. It's like, do the steps, lay down the groundwork, start building on those relationships, and then things will start to happen. And stick to your word. Don't overpromise, just kind of keep building. And then eventually, you know, it becomes a process. But as a brand owner, don't stress people out. And as a brand ambassador, it's okay. It's going to happen. Just keep.
Things that are worth it take time.
Yeah, absolutely. Sophie, for you?
Yeah, I would say to be prepared to basically have, you know, yourself becoming full-time, basically, also, you know, the image of a brand, if you are hanging with people from the industry. What I mean about that is you can't, it's not a work that you do from that time to that time, and then, okay, you close this and you come back home and you are someone else, or you go out and it's yourself only. You are carrying, and we were saying before, on social media, it's good to have a separate one, you know, for yourself, but you still represent someone that is that people will look at. When I was saying before, for example, arriving to Australia and going party, to me it was like partying because it's different than my work in production and at the office. But it's enjoying the time for real with people, you know, from the industry, and not counting hours. Not obviously for me, I'm not going to count hours, but I'm imagining for a brand ambassador thinking, well, I did work until 10 p.m. Now I'm done. Well, if you stay in the place, you still represent the brand.
Yes.
So you can't basically just say as well, I don't mind, and so it's to be prepared to have long hours, because an event may last longer, or people will consider you as the brand, even if you're not working in an event.
Yes.
So it's to be prepared for that.
You are always on. And on that note, I was going to say, that's why, and it's something that actually Philip actually gave, and it's something we established here, which is have restaurants and bars that don't know what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't sell to them. Just they're your home place. You just hang out there. You could just be you. And I'm not saying you should still get drunk and dance on the bar in this place. That's never a good thing to do. You still have to be a grown up, but a place that you can just relax in, that you don't have to have those conversations. They have no expectations of you. They have no idea what you do for a living. It's good to have a few of those. That's what I've learned as I've gotten older. So they don't know, like they have no idea that I make drinks. So if they serve me a shitty drink, you drink the shitty drink, which is not easy for me to do. Philip has to hold me back. I'm like, oh, and I'm like, but you just learn. I'll just have a neat beer and a shot, please, because that's what this place can do, and I respect that. But that's, to build on that. You are always on, and so find places that you can just be relaxed and who don't know what you do, so you don't have to be on, and you can be off from work. I think that's really kind of important, because
balance is really important.
Balance is really, really important. Well, ladies, I could hang out with you all day. Unfortunately, I have to go to another meeting. You ladies stay in.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, everybody.
Natalie, we love you too.
Lovely seeing both of you. Be well. I can't wait to do it in person. All right. Thanks again. Bye, everybody.
And come visit Casa Salles.
Yeah, exactly. I look forward to it. Bye, ladies.